Week 7 of the NFL season has come to a close, and Week 8 is hot on its heels. Welcome back to the North Shore Station. I'm Lucas D'Orazio, joined by Camden Euler behind the glass. And of course, as always, joined by our good friend Dom. Not in the studio, though. He's at home. Zoom call in today from our good friend Dom Farrow. Dom, a little bit of COVID hitting.
Yeah,
I didn't know people still even got COVID, to be honest. It's kind of embarrassing that you still have it, that you're still doing that.
I'd say so.
Kind of thought that was like last year thing. But Dom, how you feeling?
I mean, I'm getting better every day. I didn't know people were still getting sick with COVID, even being fully vaccinated. But here I am, a little sick, but getting better every day. Got to enjoy some football in my bed over the weekend, so that was nice. Thanks for having me on the show today, guys.
Of course, Dom. Always a joy to see. Always a pleasure to have you on. You're welcome back anytime, of course. But yeah, so Week 7 just happened. We kicked Dom off the show, made him call in from home, and we're ready to get right into it. Week 7, a very interesting week. A lot going on, a couple of bye weeks. Steelers got to rest up this week, like we always talk about is the Steelers. They got a big rest up week. Dom, what do you think that does for the Steelers going forward into Week 8?
I mean, part of it I like, but we also had that momentum kind of moving forward. If we could have kept that momentum going against the Browns, going against Case Keenum. So we get that little break in the action before we go play the Browns next week. So I never know what to think about the Steelers with a bye week. Sometimes they come out a little flat-footed. Sometimes they use that extra week to get a little rested, get a little prepared for the upcoming game. So, but I'm not really sure. I'm kind of on the fence right now. I'm looking forward to next week's game, though. First AFC North game for the Steelers, so I'm pumped.
Yeah, I think one defining thing for NFL teams is a lot of times how they come out of a bye week. Sometimes they'll come out energized. They look well-rested. They look like it was a very well-used bye week. And other times, teams can come out flat-footed. They might not have gotten as much as they would have liked. Maybe some rust started to form. Not as much got knocked off over the weekend in a game. So, yeah, I think it'll be interesting for the Steelers coming back against a team who didn't have any momentum coming into this week, but now will have a little bit more in the Browns. So this will be an interesting comeback week for the Steelers in Cleveland, an away game on Halloween. So that's a good one to look out for. Let's get into our biggest winners of the week. Camden, we'll go to you first. Who is your biggest winner of Week 7?
I think the biggest winner of Week 7 is pretty clear. I mean, Cincinnati, who would have thought they would be running this North Division right now? But, absolutely walked through the Ravens, winning 41-17. The Bengals, that team always has so many question marks. I know people were coming for Zach Taylor's head at the beginning of the year, and now he's, looking at Coach of the Year candidate with the way he's got this team rolling. Jamar Chase is having a historic rookie season, making Justin Jefferson's historic season from last year look like nothing. Joe Burrow looks like a top 10 quarterback. And the defense is enough. They held Lamar Jackson and the Ravens to 17 points. Both of you guys being fans of teams in the North, I can't imagine you expected the Bengals to be in this situation when the season started.
Yeah, definitely didn't expect that. And not even just the top of the AFC North, the best record in the AFC.
Yeah.
You got Joe Burrow top of the AFC, Kyler Murray and the Cardinals at the top of the NFC, the last two before this year's draft. The last two number one overall picks. It's just kind of crazy to think about. But, this was the first lock of the week. Last week I had Bengals. I think it was +6 maybe. But this is the first lock of the week where I haven't really had to stress about it. So I was happy to see the Bengals whoop up on the Ravens. So what did you think about this game, Lucas?
I think the Bengals are here to play, man. I think a lot of teams have kind of sat back on the Bengals. They slept on them a little bit. A lot of people said, yeah, they're all right, but I don't know if they're going to have the firepower to keep going. There's a lot of questions about that offensive line still, and I think that is a big question mark moving forward. But, every single year someone at the fantasy draft says, is this the year that Joe Mixon's going to do it? Is this the year that Joe Mixon's going to be an actual, real steady contributor? And I think this is the year for Joe Mixon, and I think it is because he's got a really good quarterback in Joe Burrow in year 2. Jamar Chase can take the top off of defense like he's shown week after week. the numbers he's putting up are ridiculous. Most yards through 7 games by a rookie in NFL history. He's looking really good. That whole team is looking really good. CJ Uzoma is a really good tight end that I don't think gets enough spotlight. Shout out National Tight Ends Day. He had another big day for the Bengals, which, of course, every tight end seems to have a big day on National Tight Ends Day. It just happens that way. But yeah, this Bengals offense is scary to look at. I mean, Joe Burrow's he's settling in more and more every week. He looks like he's completely shaken off that knee injury. Knock on wood for him wherever there's some wood. And yeah, Jamar Chase is having a very legit, to say the least, rookie year, and I wouldn't be surprised if he overtakes his former LSU teammate, Justin Jefferson, and takes the new rookie receiving record. So yeah, I mean, the Bengals have got it rolling. If they weren't in the NFC North, I would love this team, but they're a Browns rival, and they're going to play them 2 times this year, and for that, I kind of have to hope on their downfall a little bit.
Yeah.
Moving forward, I'm sure you feel the same way, Dom, about that AFC North, an AFC North rivalry. So you can relate to that. Moving forward, my biggest winner of the week is, again, staying in the AFC North. And we're going to go with the Browns in Cleveland, but not just the Browns. D'Ernest Johnson, the 3rd-string running back for the Browns, is my biggest winner of the week. And it's not just because he had a big day. It's not because he had 149 yards and a touchdown and he had some game-sealing runs at the end of this game. But it's because of his story and just where he's come from. I mean, a guy who 3 years ago was sending DMs on Twitter to all of the AAF teams trying to get a tryout, saying, hey, I'm a guy from USF. Maybe didn't have a great pro day, but I'd love to try out for your team. I'd love to get an opportunity. Signs with the Orlando Apollos. He lights it up, gets a chance with the Browns. Everything he's shown over the last year when he gets in has been really good, and I think everyone's been impressed with him. Now finally he gets his shot in the spotlight, starting game, and he goes off. He's basically the catalyst for that Browns offense. Case Keenum also stepping in, doing a great job. Browns banged up here, so that's why they're my Week 7 biggest winner. Is, I say it every week, Dom, and you're probably going to be mad because I'm going to say it again. It's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving. The Browns were hit hard by the injury bug. They kept moving. They stayed on their feet, get a big win against the Broncos, who a lot of people think, has a very elite defense. Broncos, almost my biggest loser of the week, honestly. Started 3-0, now 3-4, I believe. So, a rough week for the Broncos, but still nothing to sleep on for this Browns win. A very big one for the Browns, and it's interesting to see how they'll move forward, possibly with Case Keenum as their QB1 for the rest of the year.
My biggest question is, what do the Browns do now with D'Ernest Johnson? Do they try to trade him, get that value while they have, or do they go with a 3 running back option with once Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb are back?
See, I've wondered that as well. And the thing is that I honestly said was, as a running back 3, he's ridiculous. I think he could be a starting running back on almost any team in the league. Not every team in the league, obviously. Derrick Henry exists. He might be behind Joe Mixon, like I said. So I would say probably on 15 teams, he could probably start. Over half of the teams in the league, maybe, he could start. Which is why I wasn't that huge of a fan of re-signing Chubb. I think Chubb is a great running back in the league, top 5. But if we would have lost him, I think it would have been all right. We have Kareem Hunt. We would have had D'Ernest Johnson. We have Demetric Felton, who's shown a lot as a scat back. So, it's interesting where we move forward now that we have re-signed Chubb. Kareem Hunt has another year on his contract. I think they could get a lot out of trade value for D'Ernest Johnson. And it's almost a sad thing. It's a bittersweet thing as a Browns fan because wherever he's going to go, at least in my opinion, he's going to light it up. But unfortunately, it just might not be with us. So for the guy himself's best interest, I almost think we should trade him, give him a shot to shine, be a running back 1 somewhere else, and, make his money that way. But I think it'll be interesting. That's kind of the bittersweet thing about being a fan and having these guys in the league that, you connect with almost. And then you realize there's maybe a little bit better talent in front of him, guys who are more established, and he might have to go somewhere else and play for them, So that's a rough thing. But moving on, we're talking a lot about running backs right now. Dom, your biggest winner of the Week 7, I got to guess it's because of their running back. So, Dom, go ahead. Who's your biggest winner of the Week 7?
My biggest winner of Week 7 is the Tennessee Titans, and they do have the best running back in the league. But he's also a quarterback. He showed that he had that arm this weekend. He had that passing touchdown. Is that enough for him to win the MVP? Just one passing touchdown? I'm not so sure. But it's not just because of Derrick Henry that they are my biggest winner of the week. Obviously, beating they went to the Super Bowl last year. The MVP, that was 2 years ago as well. 2 years ago, they had the MVP. They won the Super Bowl. They went to the Super Bowl last year. But Patrick Mahomes not looking good at all. But I don't think this is saying more about how bad the Chiefs are, but this is just saying that the Titans are for real. They're here to play. Getting A.J. Brown, finally that big game that he was looking for all year. The 8 receptions, 133 yards, and a touchdown. Getting him involved with the offense, along with having that lethal combination with Derrick Henry. The Titans are going to be tough to stop. If they can get their defense working like they did in this game against the Chiefs, they're going to be contenders in the AFC moving into the playoffs, I believe.
Yeah, and I think the reason that the Titans were almost my biggest winner of the week is not just because they beat the Chiefs this week, but they beat the Bills last week. I mean, 2 huge wins in a row against huge AFC rivals. I mean, those are 2 of the top hitters in the league overall, not just in the AFC. Titans go toe-to-toe with them back-to-back weeks and beat them both. I think that's huge. Camden, what do you think about the Titans? What do you like about them?
I like the way that they've adapted from what they started this year. I mean, they started out rough. The run game wasn't there. The pass game wasn't there. It was, that first game against the Cardinals was a mess. But they've really figured it out, and I think they really are just using what they have in the backfield to the best of their ability. I mean, that's exactly what they need to do when you have a running back like that, is just give them the ball and let them carry your team to the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, Derrick Henry has shown time after time that he can do that over and over. So I agree, Cam. Just lean on that. Lean on King Henry, if you will, because that's a good guy to lean on. He's a pretty sturdy guy to lean on. I think that's a good way to go. And yeah, I think, Dom, you touched on it. Big game for A.J. Brown. Needed that in my fantasy league. I appreciate that, Ryan Tannehill and Mike Vrabel. Staying in this game, we're going to go to our biggest losers. Dom, Week 7, your biggest loser. Who is it?
Yeah, I know I just said how this game was more about how good the Titans were, not about how bad the Chiefs were, but the Chiefs were really bad this week, and that's why they're my biggest loser. They're 3-4 to start the season. No one saw that coming. They're 1-4 against AFC teams this year, and they lost 38-3. Sorry, I apologize. That's not correct. The last time they lost this bad was when they lost 38-3 in 2012. This was easily Patrick Mahomes' worst game of his professional career. I guess the Madden curse is catching up to him. I guess it affects everyone except Tom Brady. But Patrick Mahomes not looking good at all. A lot of turnovers. Tennessee forced 3. Mahomes had 2 of those, and they were able to turn those into points as well. The Chiefs, their defense is horrible, but if Patrick Mahomes and the offense can't get anything going, they're not going to make the playoffs this year. And I think that's something we might need to start talking about. Will the Chiefs not make the playoffs this year? I don't know, but it's not looking very good.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that defense, and that's the interesting thing. This season, that seems to be all we talk about with the Chiefs is how bad their defense has been. Every week I bring up a number about how many points they give up, and finally this is the lowest point total they've given up all year, 27, which again still isn't a good point total to give up. But with that,
and that was in the first half too.
What's that?
That was in the first half. They scored. It was 27-0 in the first half.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that 27. So, yeah, the defense not good in the first half at all, but at least they made some adjustments. Usually you'd say the way this season's going, the way this past couple seasons have gone, you'd say, all right, if they hold them to 27, the Chiefs are still going to have a chance to win in this game, the way Patrick Mahomes runs that offense. Obviously, a lot of weapons. And then you look and they only put up 3 points. And like you said, a lot of turnovers. Probably Patrick Mahomes' worst game as a professional. And that's rough to see. That's a rough situation right now in Kansas City because the defense has been awful, abysmal all year, really. And now finally they make some adjustments in the second half. They shut the Titans out in the second half, and the Chiefs can't score anything on offense. So really rough in Kansas City. A lot to fix there, clearly on both sides of the ball. Camden, who else needs to fix something? Who's your Week 7 biggest loser?
I mean, Carolina Panthers losing 25-3 to the Jets. the biggest loser possible, I think. I mean, with the way the Jets have looked, or not the Jets, the Giants, excuse me. The way the Giants have played this year, the way they're beat up, they shouldn't be beating anybody by more than 3 points, and they beat the Carolina by 22. I mean, Sam Darnold, I know we were talking in the beginning of the season that he was like half decent, and Jets fans are like upset now that he's not in their organization anymore, but I think they're happy now. I mean, Darnold looked really bad the past like couple weeks. I mean, they put PJ Walker in at one point, which he didn't do any better. I mean, it's an offense that we saw was playing well at the beginning of the year, and it's fallen apart. And the sad thing is the defense is there. It's just they're on the field so much because the offense just doesn't move. So I mean, yeah, you give the Giants twice as much time of possession, they're gonna probably beat you by a good margin, no matter who it is. And it's not a complete knock on the Giants. I mean, Daniel Jones played a good game, 23 for 33 with 203 yards. What?
Catch of the year.
Yeah, that was
One-handed
that was
grab.
gorgeous. But I mean, yeah, no team can be losing to the Giants by that much at this point in the season. You know, you started off 3-0 and you've dropped your last 4. You know, you're running out of time to get it back on track. And it all starts at the quarterback position. If you don't get that figured out, you're gonna continue to lose games. If you can't beat the Giants, you know, you lose to them by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think you said it completely correct, Camden. I mean, Sam Darnold comes out, he looks really good at the beginning of the season. You're thinking, all right, he got out of New York. We're gonna see the guy that New York thought they were getting in the draft, and all of a sudden, I mean, since being 3-0 in the start. Like you said, I said the Broncos did the same thing, started 3-0, have dropped 4 in a row now. And, you know, I don't know what's going on, but Sam Darnold looks like he's back in New York. I played him this week in my fantasy league, and I got 2 points out of him. I sat Joe Burrow. Not a great decision. Not a great decision from me, maybe. Maybe I look like I'm from New York or something like that with that GM choice. But yeah, Cameron, I think you said it right. I mean, the Panthers are in a little bit of a slide right now, and they got to turn things around, and especially when you lose to a team like the Giants, so I think you said it exactly right. Another team that has dropped a lot of games in a row now, which is my biggest loser of Week 7, are the Miami Dolphins. Started 1-0, big win against the Patriots, you know, 2 Alabama quarterbacks going head-to-head, and they won by 1 point. Since they've gone 0-6, and the last 2 weeks have just been terrible, man. I lost to the Jaguars, and then a loss to the Falcons, both heartbreakers at the end of games, of course, to field goals, which makes it almost even worse when you're in a hard-fought battle and then you lose, especially to a bad team. And these are 2 bad teams. Jaguars get their first win. Falcons not having a good season, but pick up this win against the Dolphins. And, yeah, it's just a rough situation in Miami right now. You got talks about trading for Deshaun Watson, who hasn't played all year. People don't know what his legal case is exactly, what his situation is. And now you're talking about trading for him. And I think that really shows that not only are you scrambling right now, but you don't trust in Tua. And I don't see why you would, honestly. I haven't been super high on Tua. Like I said, I think at best he would be the Phillip Rivers of this draft class. I don't know how much he's going to be able to do. And I think this really shows that Miami's starting to think it right now. I don't know if number 1 can get it done. So Miami's my biggest loser of the week for that. And, yeah, I mean, just a rough situation for the Dolphins. Camden,
Tua didn't look that bad, though. He threw for those 4 touchdowns. The 2 interceptions were bad, but Tua is not really the issue here. And I'm not exactly sure what is the main issue with this team, because there aren't that many huge red flags when I look at it. Because the offense, they're kind of getting it done, but just not enough. So, and I also think the Falcons are a better team than what people give them credit for. I kind of like them moving forward in the season, the way they're using Cordell Patterson and getting Kyle Pitts really involved. He had 163 yards on 7 catches. So Matt Ryan's been playing really well. So don't sleep on the Falcons, and I wouldn't give up on Tua and the Dolphins just yet. But this isn't the start that they want, especially because their first-round pick is going to go to the Eagles. So if they win 3-5 games this year, it doesn't matter because that pick's going to the Eagles anyways.
Yeah, and I think that's another heartbreaker for this team. I mean, obviously, when you trade away a first-round pick, you think you're ready to win right now. And a lot of teams, or a lot of people in the offseason talked about this team as a playoff team that could surprise a lot of people. And now, like I said, 1-6, rough start of the year for the Dolphins. It'll be interesting to see how they bounce back. I know, Dom, the one thing you always say is they seem to have pretty good coaching. You like their coaching. They have all right talent everywhere on the field. It's not like like you said, there's really not any red flags for this team. And then you look at their record and they're 1-6. So clearly something's not clicking right now. We'll see if they can turn it around or what. But,
I'd say the worst part about this game is that when we recorded the show last week, the line for this one was Falcons -2.5. Obviously they only won by 2. So if you had Falcons -2.5, I feel for you. Anyways, as you were saying, Lucas.
Yeah, that's a bit of a bad bet there. I agree, Dom. Good job pointing that out. I like that. Moving on to our Week 8 preview. We'll run through some of these games real quick. An interesting one on Thursday night. We got the Green Bay Packers +6 against the Cardinals in Arizona. Arizona, the last remaining undefeated team now at 7-0. And, I saw a clip on the sidelines of when the Cardinals were playing the Browns, and J.J. Watt kind of said it, which was a little bit of annoying to me. I don't know if I'm a big fan of J.J. Watt right now. He's just a little corny in my opinion.
So when I said the same stuff last year, that was a problem, but now you're saying it.
Yeah, I don't think I said that I still like him as a player, but I just think he's kind of corny as a person.
Yeah. Maybe that's what I was trying to get across last year, but wasn't saying it well.
Yeah, I've come around on Dom's train. I think Dom's a wise man, and I think I should listen to him more. But J.J. Watt was saying it. Everyone's trying to make excuses for why we're winning. Maybe this happened. Someone's hurt on the other team. Blah blah blah. He goes, maybe we're just good. Maybe we're just better than them. Which the way he was saying it, like I said, a little bit cheesy, a little corny. But I think he's right. I mean, this team's really good. They've got a lot of depth at receiver. D-Hop, A.J. Green, Christian Kirk's a stud. And now they got Zach Ertz to add. And, a lot of times when you add a guy mid-season, it's like, I don't know how he's going to fit into the offense. We'll see. He might not really end up doing anything. First week, catches a touchdown, and it's a really good throw, a beautiful catch. And then he didn't just catch it in the end zone either. He had to earn it. Good catch and run. But yeah, Cardinals -6. In this one, I'll take the Packers +6 just because I think they'll keep it close whether or not they win. I don't see them losing by more than 6. So I'll take the Packers +6. Camden, what do you think?
Yeah, you said about the injury excuses. 2 best corners for the Packers are out. Cardinals are going to sling the ball. I'll take the Cardinals.
I like the Packers a lot here. I think this is the Cardinals' first loss, so I'm going to take Packers. But give me the points. I'll take Packers +6.
Yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers is starting to get it going even more and more every week. Coming off a Bears win where he said, I own you. And now, another big win for him and the Pack in the all green this week coming against Washington. Camden, anything to say about that game?
No, I'm taking a week off. I'm not talking about it.
I'm not gonna lie, I was one game away from doing the same thing with the Browns, but Case Keenum got it done. Got to be fired up for that. But all right, so that'll be a really good one on Thursday night. We talked about the Bengals. They're playing the Jets in this game, which makes it seem like it's not that interesting. The interesting thing to me here, though, is the spread is 9.5. The Bengals are -9.5 on the road against the Jets. And anytime the spread's that big, I get a little bit weary of it. So I don't know if I would touch this one personally. The Jets coming off a big loss, which was big for me because the person against me in fantasy for some reason thought that it was a good idea to play the Jets defense. They put up -11 points, so I thank you, A.J. Garson, for that. But yeah, I mean, anytime this big of a spread is going on, it's pretty interesting. Dom, what do you think about this one?
Something I've been noticing a lot this year, these huge spreads where the points just seem like that's just a little too big. It seems like it's been hitting every week. So I've kind of been liking these massive spread here. There's a few this week, so this one's one of the smaller ones actually, but I'd take Bengals minus 9.5. They're cooking right now. The Jets are down bad. No Zach Wilson for at least 2 weeks. They just traded for Joe Flacco from the Eagles. He played a few games with them last year. So what the heck is Joe Flacco going to do in the year 2021 against the Bengals? And Joe Burrow, nothing. I'll take Bengals minus 9.5.
Yeah, you mentioned that these big spreads are hitting a little bit. There's 2 more here coming up right now. Even bigger spreads. Like you said, the Bills are minus 13.5 against my Week 7 biggest loser, the Dolphins. But I don't know. I mean, like you said, Tua really didn't look terrible, but they just can't really get it figured out. I think I'd take the Dolphins plus 13.5 in this one. Camden, what are you thinking?
No, I think it's just the Dolphins are just not executing. I think it's like you said, the talent is there, is good enough to win. The coaching is very good, and the quarterback isn't bad. They're just not executing. They're allowing big plays to guys they shouldn't be allowing big plays to, and the team that's killing it in big plays right now is the Bills. So I think that's another big spread where, you know, this can completely plummet Miami's season if they don't perform here, and I think the Bills know that, and they take advantage of it and blow them out of the water.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you're exactly right, Camden. Yeah, but Bills, this is their chance to bounce back, you know, and keep that, pick up some more momentum, go against a lesser opponent, look really good. Speaking of lesser opponents and another big spread, Rams minus 14 in Houston. Houston has looked really bad. They put up 5 points last week. So, you know, just another rough week for the Texans. I don't know what's going on there.
Was that the scoregami game?
Yeah, that was another scoregami game. 2 weeks in a row, a scoregami hit this year in the NFL. So if you follow scoregami on Twitter, big 2 weeks.
Go.
And then final game we'll talk about, probably the game of the week, if not in the league, then definitely on this podcast, because the Cleveland Browns are playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers, 1 o'clock on Halloween in Cleveland. The Browns are favorite in this game, minus 3.5 against the Steelers, who are coming off that bye week, like we mentioned, plus 3.5 for the Steelers. Dom, I'll throw it to that. Well, I'll actually throw it to Camden first because he's not a fan of either of these teams. Let's get the nonpartisan vote, even though he is wearing a Penguins hat. Let's hear what Camden has to say about this AFC North rivalry.
I don't know. It's in Cleveland, correct?
It is, and I might be at the game.
Oh,
If that makes
nice.
a difference in your pick.
No, it means nothing to me. But I don't know. I think this is the same thing, you know, not on the same scale, but as the Dolphins, where the Steelers, like, they're at the point where it's like you got to win, or, you know, the season's pretty much, you know, you got to make sure you're winning games now in the middle of the season. You can't drop off now and then try to win games when it's too late. So I think they come out with firepower, but the way the Browns get at the quarterback, I think Big Ben could be in for a struggle in this one. And the way they shut down the run to both teams, I think both teams are going to be forced to throw the ball this game, and it's just going to be a matter of which bad quarterback can throw the ball better than the other bad quarterback. And I think Case Keenum is just a little bit better than Ben Roethlisberger, so I'm going to take the Browns.
Wow. Case Keenum gets the edge in Camden's book over Big Ben. I love it. I love it, Cam. Dom, let's go to you now because you are on the road and the underdog in this one. What do you got?
The only thing I'm concerned about in this game is the running attack for the Browns. I'm not worried about Case Keenum. Certainly not worried about Odell Beckham Jr. That guy's non-existent nowadays. Jarvis Landry, he might cook up a little more than he did now that he's back. But, again, it's Case Keenum. He's going against the Steelers defense. They've had things clicking. Everyone seems like they're healthy on that side. I think the key to victory for the Steelers here is for Devin Bush to step it up in this game, for Joe Schobert to step it up. We need these linebackers to be playing good and neutralizing the rush attack as much as possible. But either way, Steeler Nation, baby. Plus 3.5.
See, you
Go
mentioned
Steelers.
those inside linebackers for the Steelers, Joe Schobert and Devin Bush. I think, and you mentioned there, like, the Steelers' defense is healthy now. I think one thing that a lot of people are overlooking in this Browns win, because it's easy to overlook when the injuries are in this position group, but their offensive line got more healthy this week. Jedrick Wills came back. Jack Conklin's still out at the right tackle position, but almost a fully healthy Browns offensive line now. But Blake Hance has honestly stepped in at tackle, not looked terrible. Speaking of that line, I see Wyatt Teller and Joel Bitonio at the guard positions just getting up to the second level, gripping up Devin Bush, and just bam, put him on his back. Nick Chubb, run behind him. Ernest Johnson, Kareem Hunt. It doesn't matter who it is. It won't be Kareem Hunt. He's on the IR. But it really doesn't matter who it is for the Browns. I can see a big game on the ground for the Browns, and then Case Keenum dinking and dunking when he needs to, gets them down the field. And I think the Steelers are going to win this game because that's what I have to do for the spread. I have to take the Steelers plus 3.5. If you watch the show, you know why. But under the table, it's going to be a good weekend in Cleveland, let's say that.
Listen. If the offensive linemen want to get to Joe Schobert and Devin Bush, they're going to need to get through Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, and Alex Highsmith first, and that ain't happening. Steelers by 1 million.
All right, we'll see. It's going to be a real good one this week in Cleveland. Definitely one to look into, definitely one to tune into on CBS. The one thing going against the Browns, when Jim Nantz calls a game when the Browns are playing it, over the last, I think, like 14, 15 years, they have won one game when Jim Nantz has called the game. Jim Nantz and Tony Romo are calling the game this Sunday, so that doesn't spell too great for the Browns.
I feel like the Steelers usually lose when those guys are commentating too, so I don't think that's too much to worry about. It will be a good game. I think on the line for this game is the header for our Twitter account, so if the Steelers win, I'll change it. If the Browns win, Lucas, you have the rights to change the header or keep it as Mason Rudolph getting his head bashed in.
I was going to say that the header right now is pretty good. Myles Garrett smashing Mason Rudolph over the head. Make sure you give us a follow if you don't know what we're talking about on our Twitter at North Shore Pod. Stay updated with us. Send in questions, talk to us as much as you want. See what we think about things. And I think that brings us to our locks of the week, guys. We're keeping this episode short. We got Dom with the COVID. Not a lot of energy in the body. We got to keep it short for him, keep him on ice. So, Dom, we'll let you check out early here if you want, and we'll let you go first on your lock.
Sure. All right, my lock of the week. By the way, I've won my last 4 locks of the week after losing my first 3, so I'm 4-3 total. And I was looking at a lot of these picks this week, and I was liking them a lot. I feel like I could go 100% this week if I really wanted to, if I chose to. I don't bet on sports anymore, but if I did, I think I'd go 100%. But, however, I woke up this morning, opened up my drawer, picked out a T-shirt, threw it on. COVID, when you're sick, you don't really care what you're wearing. You don't care how you look and stuff. So I just picked out the first shirt I grabbed. That's a Detroit Lions logo. I think that's a meaning. I just noticed it when I was recording this, so I'm going to take Lions +3 versus the Eagles. The Lions get their first win of the season. Fan of the league. Of course, the Steelers first, but I'll take Lions +3 versus the Eagles.
I like the Lions. I like the Lions a lot because I like how they came out against the Rams and were aggressive.
Yeah,
they were onside kicking it, fake punting it. They realized, not much to lose at this point. I mean, we're probably not making the playoffs. It's not like Jared Goff's legacy's at stake or anything. Let's play with what we've got. Let's have some fun out here. Lions were playing a little bit of Madden this past weekend, so I like that pick. Lions +3 against the Eagles.
Speaking of Madden, folks, I'm ashamed to announce to all the listeners, as much as I trashed Madden, I did purchase it over the weekend. Listen, COVID quarantine, it's very boring. I needed something new, so I'm ashamed to let you all know that I did purchase that. So my apologies. Lucas, your lock of the week, what is it going to be to get back in the scoreboard? You're 2-5. I think you've lost your last 5, maybe?
Yeah, it's been a rough go of it for me. I think I've lost my last 3. Yeah, started
you had those
0-2, got back to 2-2, and now I'm 2-5. Excuse me. Rough go of it for me. Last week I bet against the Colts. I said Niners -3.5 against the Colts. The Colts come out and win it. So, screw the Colts. I'm going to bet against them again. And I'm going to go Titans -1 against the Colts. Titans were Dom's biggest winner of the week for a reason. Was it Dom's? Yeah. Dom's biggest winner of the week for a reason. They got it rolling right now. Camden said it best. Lean on Derrick Henry. He's a sturdy guy to lean on. He's not going to let you fall over. Just keep giving it to him. A.J. Brown getting back into the swing of things a little bit more. Julio Jones is starting to look like Atlanta Julio. Is making toe tap catches. He's making unreal plays again. So, yeah, I like the Titans a lot, and I think it's almost a steal that this game's only -1 because I don't think this one's a pick 'em like the spread would suggest. So I'm taking the Titans -1 in this one. Camden, your bet from last week, we don't know about yet. We're recording this on Monday, October 25th at 7:14, a little earlier than usual, so the Monday night game hasn't even started.
That one's losing. Geno Smith is lighting up the scoreboard tonight.
Not a chance.
Yeah, Camden bet Seattle and New Orleans under 43.5. Two high-powered quarterbacks in this one, Jameis Winston and Geno Smith. So I don't know about that one, Camden. It might be a little, Dom might stay in the lead here after this week at 4-3. You're at 3-3 currently. We'll see what happens tonight. But Camden, what is your lock of the week?
My lock of the week, I got 49ers, Bears, over 39.5, a low over-under. Both teams coming off bad losses. The Niners, like you talked about, losing to the Colts after Carson Wentz just basically gave them Christmas presents early, handing them the football. And the Bears got absolutely whooped by the Buccaneers and didn't even have a chance. So both teams, chip on the shoulder, coming out. 49ers will get to be dry this week, hopefully, and both teams will put up a lot of points. So I'm taking that. That's an easy lock. I keep
like
my spot in first place, get back in there, 5-3.
Yeah,
No
this over-under is a little bit tempting. I think it might be a little bit of bait, though. You see over-under 39.5. You almost feel like you have to take that. But, yeah, I mean, Niners offense only put up 18 points. Jimmy G's playing kind of hurt. Trey Lance didn't play in this game, so I don't know if he'll be back for next week. And then the Bears, that offense is kind of hit or miss right now, and I don't even know if it's hit that hard, to be honest. But Justin Fields, still settling into that Bears offense, so could be a big week for them. But, yeah, that's an interesting one for sure, one to keep our eye on. And this brings us to a close of Episode 8, North Shore Station. Dom, feel better soon, I hope.
I'll be back.
Do you have anything else to add?
Next week. I'll be back next week in the studio. Can't wait to be back.
Cheers,
go
calling your name,
Steelers.
bud.
Yes, sir. Halloween this weekend. It'll be a good time to bounce back. Get vaccinated, everybody. This thing is no joke. Even though being fully vaccinated, I was pretty sick. If you're not vaccinated, we keep on getting these strains and stuff, and people will get even more sick. So get vaccinated, stay safe, enjoy NFL football.
Camden, closing thoughts?
I mean, I don't know. NFL's been sad with Washington being poverty again. So my morale's down. Hopefully we can bounce back against Denver this week. We'll see.
Well, don't let Camden's Washington depression keep you down. Hope you guys all have a good one. Looking forward to a big weekend of NFL football. Thanks for tuning in and continue to do so. And thanks for joining us once again on the North Shore Station.